Hello, my name is Rachel Malcom. I play blindside flanker for Scotland. I think I've learned a huge number of lessons across the seasons that I've captained Scotland. I was extremely inexperienced as a rugby player when I first took on the captaincy, and I definitely had a bit of imposter syndrome, and I think felt I had to take everything on my own shoulders and probably make all the decisions and try and do everything by myself, whereas what I've learned over the years is very much that being a captain is absolutely not about doing everything yourself. It's about leaning on the strengths of everyone within the team.
Yeah, what? Yeah. Oh, nice one.
Like this. Now she can find space. Hit her, shoulder, okay? Crossing, go.
Nice one, good one.
Being captain, I think, doesn't really change my training week. I think for me, like, I've always thought, like, you act you're captain for a reason, so not to change anything in terms of how I carry myself in training and how I act in that respect. But I think there is some additional responsibilities around just kind of keeping the team focused on the messages from the coaches and kind of being that liaison between the coaches and the team, and just making sure that we're all on the same page. The Rugby World Cup was really tough for us as a squad. I think we were at a point where we were incredibly close to a number of teams and we competed incredibly well, but we're super unlucky. And I think as a captain, I took a huge amount of that on my shoulders in terms of kind of the results that we had, and then going into the TikTok Women's Six Nations again, we were kind of on a bit of a losing streak, and again I took a huge amount of responsibility for that as the leader of the team, and I think that's a massive learning that I've taken in terms of that was not helpful for anyone. It definitely wasn't helpful for me as a leader, and I think you have to remember that you're there for a reason, and you have people around you to support you, and you don't need to isolate yourself in those situations. And I think the times where I've led probably the best and on pitch has been when I've used others around me and been supported by others. And I think often when you're in a bit of a rut, it's super easy to just take everything on your shoulders and probably feel responsible for those bad results or those bad performances. I also learned how strong this group is within that. The ability that we had to stick together showed me a lot about the group, and that I didn't need to take anything on my shoulders because they were willing to be there and hold me up and also take a huge amount themselves. So I think, it taught me how strong the leaders within the group are, but the group as a collective are. And I also think we've learned a huge amount over that TikTok Women's Six Nations in particular as to how we can work as a collective leadership group to get the best out of the team. And I think this last 6 weeks of pre-season, we've seen it.
We talk about test match intensity, that was it. Fast day, but the spice is there as well. That's what it takes. Relentless in every single set. Both teams going at each other. Absolutely class. We talk about a 30-man squad getting us ready for a game. That is exactly it.
So we have a number of different leadership groups, both on field and off field. We want to give as many people the opportunity to lead within the team, and it's been really effective for us as a group. So in terms of off field, we have leaders that look after different areas, so things like our S&C and recovery, our kind of connections within the team, so kind of is everyone happy off the pitch, and also in terms of logistics. So they work really closely with different members of our management team, and that just kind of helps us keep everything happy amongst the group off pitch. And then getting closer to game day, we have a strategy group that work kind of closely with the whole coaching team. We'll meet kind of ahead of game day to just look at our approach to the game. We talk about scenarios, and that tends to include captain, vice captain on the day, our scrum leader, our line-out leader, attack leader and defence leader. And it's just been a really effective way that we can kind of work as a collective and use the strengths of the collective to make the best decisions for the group. And it's been super helpful for me as often the captain on the pitch, but obviously for the whole group in terms of just making sure that we're on the same page.
Long right, swap. In your own time, you have 4 minutes. Go! Good move.
We as a squad kind of work together to think about what's really important to us as a group, and why do we play for Scotland, and why do we want to play for Scotland, and what do we think is important for performance. And we worked together prior to the World Cup to kind of come up with a strategy around that and kind of what it means for us as a group. And I think what's really important about that is it was this group of players that came up with it, rather than I've been in a number of teams before where you're told what your values are, and I just don't think you get that same buy-in to the values, and I don't think the behaviours follow as a result. So I think it has to be something that the whole playing group has been a part of contributing to, as well as the management, because it's super important as well. I think that is also a two-way street. We are a team. We're not just players. We are a team with management and wider squad players and all of these things, and it has to be something that everyone is on board with. So I think that's why it's so important that everyone's contributed. So we started that prior to the World Cup, and it probably has taken some time to kind of integrate, but it's definitely, there's specific kind of buzzwords that we have around the group that we bring into both training and off pitch as well, which inspire us. They trigger those thoughts about what we said pre-World Cup about what it means to play for Scotland, and I think that's probably been the really key thing, is just like condensing all those different emotions that we have around it, but also just condensing what really is important to us as a group, and I think that's made a massive difference.
Last night we talked about we. That's why every single person is in the circle right now, because that's the reason we were able to go out there and put that performance in today. This squad has created something so special, yeah? We're a couple steps up the ladder now, but we keep going forward. And the only way we keep going forward is together. By working like we just did for the last 6 weeks to get a result like that and a performance like that. We knew we had to dig in. Yeah, we knew that first part was going to be really hard. But we did. We stuck to the process. We were relentless in every area of the game in that second half. Every single person stepped on that pitch, congratulations. Every single person contributed the last 6 weeks, congratulations. Now we push on. This is something special, but the only way we make it more special is hard work. I think, girls. Scotland on 3, 1, 2, 3, Scotland!